What's popping? Yeah. If you know, you know. What's going on, y'all? Good morning. I appreciate Imani for catching that last one. But y'all, I'm excited today. Honestly, I touched on a few of chapter seven's principles last week. I've been excited about chapter 7 and 8 and just wrapping this thing up. Ultimately, this is a fire book. And I had a conversation yesterday with someone on squad where I was just literally telling them, like, especially this one, if any book that we've ever written together, especially this one, take the time and not just read it, not just understand it, but consciously input these principles and these practices into your life. Because real life, if you look at what we've been reading over the last 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks or so, as we've been doing this book, literally all the pieces of the puzzle, at least for me, I've been testing out in my life and I've been tested in my life as well. And in that process, it's definitely helped me become better. And I'm peeping the game as I moving forward. So I highly recommend y'all do that. I see Imani on that quick 15-minute tour right now, taking a quick walk as she's present on this call. You guys are available. I know Marcus is literally on a boat right now, but if you can, bro, turn your camera on. We'd love to see the vibes. Mama Mary, what's up? Cam, I know you're doing the eats, but if you can, bro, turn your camera on. We ain't tripping if you walking into a store and grabbing food, bro. I do it all the time. You know what I'm saying? No thing. But with that, y'all, just really quick, wanted to get in tune and look at you guys this morning. It's good to see y'all beautiful faces. What's poppin'? Mama, you right in the middle, so I get to stare at you all the time too. What's up, girl? But I am excited, man. Chapter 7 and chapter 8, it starts out of talking about social awareness. So I'm excited to see what everybody else caught from these chapters because this is something that I literally do on Zoom all the time. You know what I'm saying? When you're speaking on Zoom, one of the reasons why AB and us like to have everybody's camera on is literally so that we can observe. So I was loving what this entire chapter was putting down. But I'm gonna let one of y'all kick off this thing. Who volunteers? Anybody willing to kick us off this morning?
I'll go first. Mama's got the stomach bug. I had it since yesterday, so I'm not feeling so good.
Sorry.
But
Love you.
I did say I love y'all. But chapter 7, social awareness, is something that I have been learning over the years, just kind of gauging how people move and how they are. He gave a good example of the server who knew how to read, the couples that were there, people who don't want to be bothered with, people who do like, conversations, so forth and so on. So it's good just to understand the different type of moods of other individuals and groups of people. Um, the 12, or actually the 17 strategies, I'm going to catch up on the first two, is greet people by name. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am the worst. And that's something that I need to get better at because I'm bad with names. But in reality, I like when people, it's weird because a lot of people call me Mama Mary. And when they call me Mary, I feel like I'm being called out of my name. So I like when people call me by my name because that means that either one, I've made an impact on them. Two, um, they are intentionally wanting to know who I am and what I'm about. And then the second social awareness strategy is your body language. Let me tell you what, with two teenage girls, that body language is everything. It is everything. And it will be the death of me with these girls because I tell them, y'all don't have to say a word. You don't even have to say a word. It's how you respond with your body language and your facial expressions. Those two alone, right there, are really big for me. And I'm learning how to do both of those. On to chapter 8, relationship awareness. This is big. Relationship awareness, and it can go with your better half. It can go with a work relationship. It can go with a business partner, the whole nine. But when you become, and I'm just going to talk because I'm married. I've been married to Zach for some years now. And, you can be a certain type of person, but when you are in a relationship with somebody, you have got, you have got to release your old, hey, this is me. My husband's not the touchy feely type of person. He don't like to be touched. And those who really know him know that he does not like to be touched. Um, but on the other hand, in a relationship, you have to kind of steer away from that because you've got to make um, changes in the person that you are to be in a relationship with the person who you're in a relationship with. There's no 100% me anymore. You've got to make that change. Um, so yeah, relationship. Let me get to that chapter really quick. Um, it states here working on a relationship takes time, effort, and know-how. And honestly, it's all of that. Like we have to, for us to be, it says you use your self-awareness, skills to notice your feelings and judge if your needs are being satisfied. You use your self-management skills to express your feelings and act accordingly to benefit the connection. And finally, you use your social awareness skills to better understand the other people's needs and feelings. In the end, no man is an island. Relationships are an essential and fulfillment part of life. And that's the truth. That's the truth. Um, Again, they go into the strategy, be open and be courageous, enhance your natural communication style. And when I say be open, that's the part that I mean about you giving up the person who you said you were when you became in a relationship. You've got to think about other people's points of view, their perspectives, their feelings, what they think. The whole nine. It's not about you. Again, in a business relationship, same thing. I know we touched on this last week. I've seen Michaela Marcus go at it like brothers, you know, but they always end up coming to one point and hearing both sides. I've literally heard several conversations between them, and I'm like, this is amazing because if that were me back in the day, I would have been like, But it's amazing. This book is amazing. It just makes you more aware of the things that you do, who you're around, what you're, you know, when you're out and about. I always say, be aware of your surroundings, know who you're with, look at other people, make sure you're not putting yourself in a position or whatever. But yeah, this book is awesome. I'm going to go ahead and thanks for allowing me to give my perspective. But whoever wants to go next, or do I popcorn? Mm-mm. All right. Well, Sam, you want to go? You look engaged.
Thank you, Mama Mary, calling on me. Hello, what's up, book club? Yeah, yeah. I would just touch on what Mama Mary was saying. Like these two chapters are about social awareness, and so it's just so crazy. I mean, we're always giving off some form of communication. We're always communicating, even if we're not saying words. And this chapter 7, it brings out how listening isn't just about hearing words, because honestly most of the time the words people are saying are not how they feel. It goes way deeper, so you gotta be able to notice that, and also listening about how they're speaking, how, even the speed and volume of their voice. And so like it's just so interesting. Like nonverbal communication is huge. I mean, you can, if you're like at a party and someone walks in and they're like, you just, the look on their face is just like, you don't even have to see anything, but they don't want to see you, and they communicated through that without even saying a word. So it's really big of how, you know, like Mama Mary said, when we're having a conversation with somebody, just the shake of a hand, the eye contact, and saying their name can open a door for you that will be closed if you just have like your phone in your hand and you're saying, "Oh yeah, oh nice to meet you, man. How you, like, how you doing?" Just the verbal garbage that we use on a daily basis. How you doing? Everyone knows you don't care when you say, "Hey, how you doing? Hope have a good day." Like everybody knows. Like it's so general, and people are really learning to see past that surface level question. So if you take, when you understand that, and you want to make that impact on somebody, you say, "Hey, Michael, how's it going? How's your family been?" Just take the time, take and to really really show that you care in the body language, furrow your brow, and lean into the conversation, and actively let your body align with the words and the intent that you're trying to convey. It's really huge. It's really big. And if you're in sales, like, or in marketing, like, we all are, these little things are what's going to get people to trust you, to know that you truly care about them as an individual, and it's not transactional. I'm not saying, "Hey, how you doing?" because you have something I want. We're genuinely interested in these people. So it does, you know I mean, because all before all these, this book broke it down. I mean, you could have chopped this up and to say, just be a good person, just care, just listen. But all of those, with the help of this book club and how we're breaking it down, it breaks all of these social awareness, all these social awareness strategies into practical advice and situations that we can apply to our daily lives. you know so that's what I got out of these books. It's let me go back to chapter 8. Because like I said, it's really just about having the empathy and the compassion to try and understand someone else's perception. If you're either having a conversation or arguing, or even like head to head, like Mama Mary said, Mikhail and Marcus, like, they butt heads because Marcus said earlier, like, their personalities, like, they're very driven, and what they want, they're gonna go after. And they always come back because there's an understanding there that they have, obviously the trust that they have, the years of the relationship that they've built. That does not take time. There's no shortcut to that. You can't go out and buy that. Like, it's real life. So this book and these strategies allow us to go after the things that we want, those kind of relationships, that brotherhood, that sometimes it's hard to call you friend, but I know I could always call you a brother. Like, that's love, and that's something you can't fake, y'all. So you have to be that. Obviously we're improving ourselves and becoming the best versions of ourselves, and that's the work. When someone says, like, go think about how you could have done better, like, what does that mean? Like, what do? You go and you're like, how could I have done better? But this is it practically, and it breaks it down into just saying the person's name 3 times in the conversation. Like, just little things like that um, will allow you to take that step forward in being able to cultivate, socially strong relationships. So I think this is I'm sad we're ending this book, but I'm happy that we were able to read it. And that's about what I got from chapter 7 and chapter 8. So I'll check who's ready to get popcorn next. I see a lot of people moving around. Um, if we have Amani, can you just speak real quick? I know you're on that morning walk.
Yeah, yeah, man. That's so beautiful. Because I swear, like, the butting heads, being able to fire tape, fire tape. Okay, let me get myself to the playground real quick. Um, Dang, that is so real. Just like Marcus and McKellen, you guys' relationship actually, like, changes a lot of people's lives, you know? So it's really important that y'all continue with that trust and have that trust. Big kid shit, you know? Um, anyways, so having that trust for each other and the relationships that y'all have, you know, it changes people's lives. You know, it isn't essential. But like Sam said, it's about the trust and knowing that this person, this specific person, you can actually trust to tell you the real, be honest with you. You can actually communicate. You can butt heads and still be friends at the end of the day. I know last week Marcus was saying that. I mean, Mikkel was saying that you know, him and Marcus do butt heads sometimes. And it made me personally feel a little bit better because my business partner is somebody I'm very, very close with. Very close with, okay? She's my ex-girlfriend. Anyways, so like me and her have had to go through so many different like transitions to get to a better place where we can, because we just know like we trust each other, we have that. And that relationship management is so important for us because when we think about all of our relationships as a whole, not everybody is on the same thing as us. So it's really important to, you know all of these emotional intelligence rules, especially, you know, being with somebody who's your, you know, being a business partner with somebody who's your ex. Like that doesn't sound appealing to most people. But, you know, for me and her, it's more like, hey, we're doing what we have to do for right now. Feel me? Eventually, we'll probably break off and have our own new business partners, and we'll do our own thing. We'll still have our company together, but you know, we are aware of all of those things. So I just wanted to put that side note out there because it's just like having these tools, even in situations that might be a little iffy for some people, can work for others. You know, it's just all about your level of care. So let me go to my notes because this book is laid out very specifically. It's social awareness first, then self-management. Is it? Hold on. I forgot the order. What's the order, y'all? So please, somebody hop on and tell me the order because I forgot.
It's awareness, then management, but this is
Self-awareness, then self-management, then social awareness and relationship management.
correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. It is it's like that for a reason because there's no possible way to have a solid relationship if you don't have a solid relationship with yourself. So the fact that the book actually goes about it this way is so important because like I told y'all, I have an issue with self-management and it's something that I'm working on. And Mikkel, you said it like I'm in tested, real tested reading this book because it's something that I needed to read. So shout out to Marcus because I know he was the one who suggested this book, and I hope it stays in the roto forever because it's really. I can't wait to read this book again. I don't, you know, like I could read this book for the rest of my life just to, you know, be in tune with myself. But so I'll go to my notes. I had to throw that out there. So in chapter 7, when you're practicing your timing, as you practice your timing, remember the key to social awareness is focusing on others instead of yourself so that you can be more effective. This is so important, everybody. Like, I cannot stress this enough. Social awareness is focusing on others. So there has to be a huge level of care that I know is not always easy for everybody because as people like we all know, we're in business, we're in marketing, we're in the social game, we're in like where we talk to a lot of people all the time, you know. It's kind of hard to remember every interaction if we don't practice these principles. It's kind of hard. It can be hard to care about someone that you don't know, especially if you don't know like anything about them, you know. So when doing these practices, it's so important to find a fuck to give. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Sorry, YouTube. You gotta find it though. Like it is what it is. You know, you have to be able to figure out what you can do in that conversation. Now, if it's to the point where you just really don't want to care, get out of there. You don't gotta talk to this person. It's not that big of a deal. But you have to care because it would be so difficult to follow these principles and not have something to anchor you into having a conversation that is long lasting, where you do remember these people's name and you remember things about them that can anchor you to something else and get you like, so this whole situation, oh my God, this book is crazy. um Clearing the clutter. I know I've said this before and I will say it again. Remove the distractions. To be socially aware, you must be socially present and remove distractions, especially the ones inside your head. Y'all, that's crazy. I know it's easy for everybody to be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be on book club, I'm gonna be working and cleaning and working out, and like I'm gonna be tuning in type deal. And then there's these moments where we know we ain't really listening for real, you know? In conversations, I've noticed, I learned a lot of this when I was in college, communication major here. And that's one thing that is so important, to be able to actually listen to people. And that's something that they talk about in chapter 7 and in chapter 8, actively listening and hearing the other person, not wanting to respond and interrupt, which I don't know if anybody has a problem. I'm sure y'all do somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. Check yourselves. I be like that sometimes too. I'm not gonna lie, not all the time, because I practice that specifically. So I encourage everybody to practice that, because it is really irritating when people interrupt me. Like, it's the most irritating thing in the world. I've had to check so many of my friends in a loving way. I will continue to check people in a loving way, because I'm not about to sit here and just hear you talk, 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 talk. And you're not, that's for me personally. That's how I feel. So I couldn't imagine if I'm talking to somebody and I'm just going up and I'm not like allowing them to breathe, how different the conversation could be. It's not genuine like that, because it's only like whatever. It's only like it's very one-sided. You're actively, like, people will actively listen to respond versus listening to actually hear. And that creates, for especially for like relationship management, that creates a bond of trust between you and the other person, because they know that you actually care and are willing to hear them out without wanting to respond. Um, yeah, the second culprit is a process for reform responses while the other person is talking. Exactly what I'm talking about. So clear the clutter, people. Clear it up. Um, then, okay, I am gonna just throw this out there, because I personally feel like this is all opinion. This is just opinions, okay? But I personally feel like men have a really hard time with staying in the moment. I know women do too, but in a different way. I would say for men, my observation are, men are like the good guys, at least. They want to be the provider, or they are the provider. So their whole goal is to make sure that they get all the bag, get to the bag, to make sure they take care of themselves, their family, their people, right? And I don't know. I do know. Sometimes I've seen people who do make a lot of money who get so caught up in their work, where they're not even taking the time on those days. Oh my God, Mary, you said that last week. You was like, I was so happy to see my son watching a movie. The most simplest thing. He's just kicking back and watching a movie, and he's in it. And I pray to God that Marcus was not on his phone doing business while watching this movie. He wasn't, thank God, because those are those moments where it's like, I totally understand people's perspective of wanting to, be and do all the things that they need. And there's so many things that could go wrong. There's so many things that could go right. But being in the moment, like these moments here, where we're on book club, we're all together, we're listening, we're hearing each other out, and we're living in it. We're not worried about the past. We're not worried about the future. We're in the moment. And that just creates better conversation at the end of the day. And being aware of yourself and like knowing maybe you're not in the best of moods. I remember Amber kind of called me out about that. Love you, Amber. Amber called me out. She was like, there was this one time we had a business meeting and I just was not in I was not in it at all. I was irritated, but I wanted to go because I wanted to be like, I wanted to show that I could do it. And at the end of the day, she was just like, if you're not in it, you're not in it. It's okay. It's like I couldn't even be in the moment because I was so all over the place. Um, I mean, I have so many notes on this 15-minute tour. Mikhail already said that. Yeah, yeah. Check your surroundings, see what's going on. The art of listening. Always listen, y'all. It is so important. This one was so funny. He said, consider yourself new in town, like you're new in town before you open your mouth and insert your foot. Observe other people's interactions. Look for similarities and differences. That's like, I think that's in chapter, I want to say that's in, no, that's still in chapter 7. Catch the mood of the room. Take feedback well. It's chapter 8. Build trust. Acknowledge other people's feelings. When you care, show it. When you care, show it. He talks about knowing people's names and remembering people's names and bringing it up in conversation. A good way for me to show that I care is I listen. And the next time I see a person, I'll ask them about that specific thing. And it's sometimes the reactions from people is funny as hell. They just be like, oh, oh, you remember that about me? I'm like, yeah, like all casual, like I didn't do it on purpose. But I'd be like, yeah, I do remember. I do because I take the time to like, I'm telling you, an anchor is always so good. He even says like have a back pocket question, something that you can bring up in conversations that will, keep the conversation going or eliminate awkward silences or get somebody to go from one word answers to like actually engaging. So I mean, I can go on. This book is like it's crazy. I know I'm just like so excited. I'm sad that we're ending it, but I know you're gonna put it in the rotation next year too, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, show care people. It's okay to care. You don't have to care if you don't want to. It's very important. You don't have to. But when you want to, just go a little extra, maybe show up for something or send a card in the mail. It doesn't have to have money in it. Or ask about somebody's kids or ask about a situation that you knew was a little rough for somebody. And I'm telling you, the difference between how your interactions go, like, I'm going to say this and I'm going to be done with it. No, I'm not. I'm going to say 2 more things and then I'm going to be done with it for real. So the first thing is like, I've done this for a very long time. That's just my gifts. You feel me? I'm proud of it. I'm grateful for it. It's what I'm here to do. This is what God put me on earth to do, right? So I've practiced the relationship management and social awareness very often. It's much easier for me than the self, and by doing that, like I have made a lot of friends, people that I don't even really want to be friends with like that, but then I get to know and I'm like, all right, you ain't bad. And then there's people who like call me their best friend all the time. You feel me? I don't like that either. Don't call me your best friend. I'm sorry, y'all. I just had to throw that out there. Don't call me your best friend. We are not best friends. We cool. We gonna get to know each other on the real. Anyways, I just had a moment right there. I'm sorry. But okay, the last thing I'm gonna say for real is tied into that, like being able to interact with just about anybody and be aware of people's cultures and their family dynamic. That's something I learned in communication as well. And it's so possible when you at least care about, get maybe learning the culture of an office or a family or somebody's actual culture. And even if you're talking to somebody who can't speak English, or you're talking to somebody who's deaf, or hell, even somebody who's blind, and the conversation has to be a little bit different. It is so possible to actually have these relationship management with just about anybody. As long as you show that you care and you're putting in effort, even if you're trying to speak the other person's language just a little bit, it goes a long way. A little bit goes a long freaking way. I cannot tell you how many times I know words in a few different languages, and I'll be talking to somebody in Arabic, and I'll be like, "Marhaba, habibi," and they'll be like, "Oh, I just said hello, love," and they just went crazy, and that's it. That's just a little sprinkle. It don't take much. It takes a little bit, and with that, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pass it. I'm gonna pass it to Mari before she get too busy.
Can y'all hear me? All right, wait. All right, this one, there was a lot. The first thing is the interrupting. I have ADHD, so like before I was diagnosed, I thought I just like to yap, and I couldn't control it. And I was like, I keep doing this. Like, is there something wrong with me? Is this everybody? And then when I finally got diagnosed, it brought a lot of clarity. So then I was like, okay, this is why I keep interrupting. Now I'm gonna work on it. Now I'm a lot better about it. Back then, it was pretty bad. Don't distract me with the chat, Mikhail. And the other thing that stood out to me was what Mama Mary was saying, that greeting people by name. Lately, I've been putting myself in new communities a lot, and I feel like that means a lot because it's personal, it's like intentional, and that's something that as soon as I heard in the book, I was like, I got to put it to use now. Like, this is when it means the most. It's like that first interaction means a lot. You want to leave that good impact or good impression on someone because you never know. This person, you might need them for something along the way or vice versa. So it's like, be good to everybody. And that small little thing can mean the most. The little things matter. The little things matter. What else stood out to me? Oh, the biggest thing that I got from it was be present, give full attention. What was it? 2 summers ago, I worked in Montana and the national park. And if you've ever been to a national park, something about those gates, when you cross them, there's no service. Like, it's like they know the phones, the cell towers or whatever, and the gates, they are in communication. They know once you cross, there's no service. And I was living there for about 3 months. People you've never met before. I moved obviously across the country because I'm from Georgia. And there was only Wi-Fi in the common areas, which was like basically just the cafeteria. But when there's 50 people in there on the same Wi-Fi, you basically have no Wi-Fi, right? So that made my relationship with everybody there more intentional and emphasized talking to people and being more present because we had no other choice, really. There was not much to do there. Like, the closest city was like 3 hours away. So being present was something I learned there. It means a lot. It makes your relationship stronger with people because they feel heard, and everybody wants to feel heard. Everybody wants to feel like they belong somewhere. It's part of the, I don't know if you know what the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We all want to feel loved and belong, like we belong somewhere. So that was the biggest thing for me. I think I try to keep that. Oh, sorry, we're making piñata sticks. I try to keep that close to me all the time because I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned. Let's see what else. Oh, one of the things I said to do was go people watching. I love people watching. I think one of the biggest things I'm learning to do still is to be more observant. I feel like sometimes I just be on the go, and you can just chill. Like Marcus, you can go watch a movie and just chill sometimes. And I find that hard to do, to just take a chill pill, watch a movie, or just observe people. I think body language says a lot, and we tend to forget that. It's not only what Sam was saying, it's not only verbal, it's also the body language. Or I worked with inclusive kids. A lot of my kids were nonverbal, and they would act out. Like they would hit, they would spit, they would pull hair, And if you're not in that environment all the time, you're like, yo, somebody get the kid, somebody like discipline him. But sometimes they don't know how to communicate. They're still learning how to communicate, and it's not always verbal. So sometimes when a kid acts out, you gotta be like, okay, where's this coming from? Behavior always stems from somewhere. So it's kind of finding that the root of the issue. So I think that was my favorite strategy because I'm like, I actually enjoy doing that. Go people watching. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna listen to that one. And then going on, let's see. It was talking about getting angry. Now I hate being angry. Like I know in the last chapters it was talking about not labeling our emotions as bad or good. And I think that's going to be a big one for me that I need to work on because I label anger as such a bad emotion. And I'm a very calm person, but there's one person that always pushes my buttons is my brother. He's 19 and he's just such a man's man. And I'm always like, you don't have to be so hard all the time. We just butt heads. We're both very stubborn. And like what we believe is what we believe. And, you know, we're stubborn. So I was thinking about that. A lot of times that we do get angry, I tend to avoid him and completely ignore him. I'm like, I literally say, I rebuke your energy and I walk away. And I never touch the subject again. But like the book was saying, is like, when you ignore that stuff, you're missing out on like an opportunity to make that relationship stronger. So I'm like, all right, next time I argue with him, I'm going to sit back and be like, look, I might not be able to talk to you right now, but I'm going to come back to it, okay? Put a pin in it. I'm going to come back. But yeah, I think that's one of the things that I know I need to work on. And going into it, one of the things it said was, do I want to be right or do I want a solution? And I was like, because me and my brother, that's what it is. We want to be right, and we're so stubborn. I think that's why. That's it. They said that, and like it just started going off. I'm like, yeah, I need to work on that. Those tough conversations are inevitable, so I guess we gotta have them. But yeah, I think that was pretty much it. The most I got from it was just be present, have those hard conversations when you're angry, and greet people by name. Those are the 3 that I'm gonna work on, and then when we read it again, we'll work on another 3. Let's see. Who am I gonna popcorn? Amber, I will popcorn you.
Hey everyone. What's up? What's going on? I was on a mastermind yesterday morning for about 2 hours with some other business partners that I have. And one of the comments that they made was the difference between 6 figures and 7 figures is emotional intelligence and emotional IQ. It's really all it comes down to at the end of the day, like what from my experience, from where I'm at so far, this whole life experience is just about feeling good and feeling love and training ourselves to do that. Like when we think about, like sometimes we want to sit here and say like, emotional intelligence is hard, or like, these emotions are difficult to deal with. The thing is that we are actually good at practicing emotions. We're just good at practicing negative emotions, like a lot of us know how to be sad. A lot of us know how to be mad and like stay in those moods for long periods of time. But feelings like happiness and satisfaction and pleasure and joy are feelings as well, just as those feelings are. But we have to do the work to practice staying in those emotional vibrations for long periods of time as well in their muscles, So when it comes to this book and like my experience the past couple of weeks, I'm very, very grateful for all of the principles that we've like learned, that we continue to learn and everything, because like I really had to use them this past week. I know last Saturday, y'all, I had mentioned that like my cat was sick. Well, that night I ended up having to like put him down. And so it was very, very traumatic, very unexpected, like very surreal, you know, just like, and they couldn't believe it was happening. And then like it took a couple days to actually like process like what was, you know, what happened. And even like today, I felt like I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my day. I didn't want to commit to anything, to any plans. And I didn't know why I felt weird. And I was like, oh, yeah, because it's been like, it's the same day last week. You know what I mean? And so, like, with emotional intelligence and like self management, I'm really grateful because I could tell the growth that I've had in the past couple of years. Like, I wouldn't have been able to deal with the situation the way that I have been as efficiently, um, like a year ago or 2 years ago, like at all. I would have definitely made it an excuse to feel bad, to go into, you know, like unhealthy coping mechanisms, to just to just not be emotionally intelligent, you know what I mean? And I say it that way like on purpose, like give me an excuse, because at the end of the day, yes, it's a really real reason, it's a really real thing that happened, and like stuff like this happens all the time. But you have to make a choice. Like you have to make a choice whether you're gonna allow yourself to continue. Like at the end of the day, it's really about what do you want, you know. And at the end of the day, no matter what I want is still the same. You know, I still want to live a life full of love, peace, joy, happiness. And I know that that's a choice. Like, you know, like we learn in network marketing, what Jim Rohn says, it doesn't get easier, you just get better, you know. And you really do. Situations don't get easier, things happen, and you do get better at dealing with them, you do get better at processing them, you do get better at managing them, you do get better at feeling them, and like and experiencing them in a way that isn't, I don't know, so detrimental. You know, like we go through situations a lot, and like literally the way that we perceive them and our perspective around them is what is causing us pain. It's not actually what happened that's causing us pain, it's our perception and our perspective of it. And so like every single time we're dealing with something, we have to ask ourselves, like we have to ask God, really, like what is the perspective that I could look at the situation in that is gonna not cause me to feel so much pain, you know? And there's always a higher perspective no matter what. And like one thing I just really want to emphasize to everybody is that that is a choice that you have to consistently make. Like you have to believe in the principles that we talk about and practice them, especially in like some dark moments. Like you have got to fight for yourself. Like either you are or you're not. Either you're gonna grow or you're gonna die. Like literally there's no other way. No matter what, no matter what's going on, no matter what sad stories going on, no matter what is happening, like at the end of the day, you still have to make a choice whether you're going to stay down or not. And I'm just really grateful for all of us, like here on this call, practicing these principles, because we've made that choice. You know, we've made the choice to choose ourselves, to grow, to love, to be the cause of our life. And not everybody's making that choice, you know. There are a lot of people who do just give up, and who do just allow themselves just to stay in their ways, and to just, you know, allow the situations of the world to keep them down, to keep them in their old mindset. And like it was talking about in the book, you know, you still have to have like a care and for people, you know. Like one thing that I did realize too, like especially with emotional intelligence, is like detaching and like our attachment styles, like detaching from people. And this is like kind of on topic, but kind of not. But this is just something that popped into my head that I really, really want to say, because I see this happening a lot, and I really just want us to make us consciously aware of it. We have got to stop talking about the haters, the quote unquote haters. We had to talk about that. Posting about it, talking about them is giving more energy to them. I don't have any haters. Again, I cancel out any haters in the world. Anyone hating against me, cancel them out right now. Forgive it and let it go. The more energy you give to something, you're creating it. Like you're creating that. Like there's no one out here who's thinking about you that much, like for real. And so to continue to like talk about that, you're giving energy to that, and you're giving energy to something that you don't want. So just want to say to everybody with love, please stop doing that. I've done that a lot. There's times where, trust me, I was the first one to be like, these quotas bitches are mad at me, blah, 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 blah. And that mindset just continues to keep yourself in that cycle. Like it's not it's not a cycle that you want to be in. You don't want to be in that kind of vortex. So we have to stop talking about it. We have to stop talking about that conversation, stop acknowledging it. Like literally, like it's not like you don't even like what do you mean? There's love everywhere. You know? And even sometimes you gotta be like, I'd be crazy with it. Like if there's someone that I know that probably isn't fond of me, but at the end of the day, I know that I want a good relationship with that person and I value that person. In my mind, we're BFFs. We're best friends. That is my best friend right there. You know, and you view them as, you treat them as that. And that is real like emotional intelligence. Like you have to override what you're feeling in the moment, override with the situation that's going on and choose what it is that you want and do the work to stay there no matter what. No matter what. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. That's just something that I wanted to say because I love y'all so, so much. Okay, what else? Let me get back to one of these strategies real quick. I don't know. Last point or topic I just wanted to touch on when it came to this is one of the things that is said about having a being socially aware and having like a backup question to talk about. Like one thing that I realized too, like within my emotional development and emotional intelligence and journey, especially being an entrepreneur, especially in network marketing specifically, one thing that I've had to really outlearn is like whenever they talk about the 2% versus the 98%, that's a very, very real thing. And again, it's not to go from the perspective of like we're better or we're the ones who are choosing or we're the ones who are practicing these principles. No, there are people out here who don't want to change the world, who don't want to do that. And that's completely fine. You know, like one time I was listening to this podcast and he's like a comedian. He was like really, really funny. And he just said it like straight up. He's like, I do not want to change the world. He's like, I want to get on this podcast and talk about like food and farts and this and that. And just the way he said it, like, I just heard it. I was like, that's true. Because that is not for everybody to do. It's not everybody's job, like everybody's purpose to be an entrepreneur and to be the one in their family and to do it. That is our purpose, you know, but when we meet other people who are not on that level, that's not for us to look at them some type of way, to judge them, to think that we can interact with them. No, it's to open our hearts and to have love and compassion, to be genuinely interested, because there is something that we can learn from every single person out here, no matter what, like completely, you know what I mean? Some of the best leaders are people who you'll never see in books. They're like leaders who are leaders of their families, you know, leaders like in tribes who are not out here on social media at all because they're in the trenches actually leading. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, we're actually leading, but like in there, like all the time, full time. You know, I don't know. That was just something that I wanted to say because that was something like a big deal that I had to really, really learn was that like, because you know you go through a journey like because it is part of your emotional intelligence, because what happens is when you're getting frustrated with somebody else for not being a certain type of way, that's not even about them, that's about you. You're projecting a frustration you have towards yourself or towards something that happened into your life, into that situation. And so you projecting your desires or your triggers onto somebody else isn't right. It just isn't going to get you where you want to go. It isn't going to draw people closest to you. And then this is my last point for real. And this is just something that I've been having this conversation like more and more, and especially for us who are networkers, and all of us are networkers, all of us are leaders. When it comes to these kind of calls and inviting people to these free calls, like book club, like the powerful creator conversation, like, you know, people like in your business or like, you know, and like, you know, you have that desire and you just want to tell your friends about it and you want to get them on this call because you know it's going to be good for them. The best way to get anybody to do anything is to be the example of that. Don't talk to them about doing it. Don't tell them what to do. Literally just be the example of doing it. Talk to them like a normal human being, like you would, like if they're your friends, talk to them as if they were your friends. And when they ask you how you've been doing or what you got going on, talk about your life. Oh, I got on book club this morning. I learned this. It was so amazing. But don't come from the intention of like you're trying to tell them like, oh, you should get on book club because it's amazing. No, just genuinely talk about your experience and just be the growth that you're getting from it, without any attachment to that other person, and they'll feel that. And then when the time is right for them, if they're meant to be here, they will be. If they're not meant to be here, they won't be. It has nothing to do with you. Like, there's no, like at all. You just do you. And that's all I have to say. All right, Rose Sheezy on the mic.
Mic check. Thanks everybody. Well, all I really heard was Imani and Mari and Amber's piece. So if you spoke before that, I missed it. And I will have to watch the recording to get what you shared. I want to talk about, so I don't know if this was touched on at all, but I'm just going to share my perspective about the social awareness piece. And full transparency and accountability, I did not rewatch last week's book club. I did not read the chapters I said I was going to read. I did not read the chapters for today. I just kind of looked at the book right now while we're on book club. And that's okay. It is what it is. I wanted to talk about social awareness because it says, so instead of looking inward to learn about yourself, learn about and understand yourself, social awareness is looking outward to learn about and appreciate others. Its social awareness is centered in your ability to recognize and understand the emotions of others, right? Tuning into others' emotions as you interact with them will help you get a more accurate view of your surroundings, which affects everything from relationships to the bottom line. So when I think about social awareness, I just think about reading the room, like read the room, Rochelle, because there's been so many instances where I've acted out, and it's not necessarily because I didn't read the room, but just because I didn't give a F about things. Like I have a lot of awareness, and sometimes I just choose not to take the awareness that I have into it, like I just don't care. But I'm working on being more mindful of myself in social situations in relation with other people, because how I act to affects people. And I'm very empathetic. When I think about social awareness, I think about empathy, the ability to understand and relate to other people. And I'm really good at reading social cues. I'm really good at tuning in with other people's emotions. I'm good at it to the point where it can negatively affect me, because I can take on other people's emotions and other people's feelings as if they're mine. And I've had to learn how to become, like what we were talking about yesterday, Amber, like I'm on a call. Can you not? I've had to learn how to protect myself and my energy, so that I don't, every time I talk, she whines. Like,
Welcome to having children.
See, when I get quiet, she stops. Nakia, what do you need? 1 second. Can I offer you some water? Yeah, drink some water. That helps me too. Okay. And I'm getting a phone call. So what I was trying to say is that what was I talking about? Empathy, right? Like protecting my energy. Like there's a way to be able to tune into other people's emotions without letting their emotions become my emotions. And that's something that I'm learning and that I'm working on. Like, and so when it talks about man, stop calling me, bro. Jeez. It talks about like one of the intriguing things about building an acute sense of social awareness is that emotions, facial expressions, and body language have been shown to translate across many different cultures. This is kind of what Imani was touching on too. So, and then like the lens that you look through must be clear. Making sure you are present and able to give others your full attention is the first step to becoming more socially aware. So like for me, I don't know. When I'm listening to somebody like tell me about themselves, or I'm just like, doing the people watching thing. I love to people watch too, by the way. Like if you ever want a lesson in psychology, just people watch. Um, Especially like me being clean and in recovery. I don't, use substances, I don't drink or smoke. And like when I watch people that are under the influence, I learn so much. But when I'm in that position of like I'm just being like a listener to somebody, like I will have a neutral face, you know. Sometimes I like make agreements like like things like that, but I try not to like interrupt. I don't interrupt people. Oftentimes I don't interrupt people because I hate to be interrupted. There's something really powerful about just listening and like listening to listen, right? Not listening to respond, like what you were talking about, Imani. And so I just, I keep a neutral face. Sometimes I can't help it. I have reactions like, I'll laugh. I usually laugh because I identify with whatever is being talked about, or it's just funny. But usually when I laugh at something, it's because I can relate. Um, but like it's being aware of my own emotions in a situation where I'm dealing with other people is important, because how I react and respond can affect what they're sharing or how they're sharing it. And so I try not to, if someone, I'm just going to use the example of Amber's cat passing away. Like if she tells me, she's telling me the story about her cat dying, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, oh no, poor kitty. Like that might be how I'm feeling on the inside, because I really love cats and I can really identify with a cat, having to put a cat down and like, but I'm just going to listen with like, mm-hmm. I might respond with something like, it, who posted it? Somebody, I think it was Amber, posted a video about how to respond to somebody in a situation where they're going through a lot. And it's like, don't overcrowd them with questions. Don't try to come with a solution right away. Like really just listen and offer support, kind of a thing, because like I know for me, when I'm in a situation that's tough and I'm just looking to like vent about it, a lot of people, they want to ask questions. They want to question me like they're the police. They want to find a solution right away. They want to help me. They want to give unsolicited advice. And that really makes the situation worse. And it really makes me start to build a resentment with that person. Because now I'm like, do you even really care about me? And so if that's how I feel, I can imagine that's how other people might feel. So I don't come to people with unsolicited advice and help. I really don't. I'll let people come to me if they want to ask me for help. And I just learned that years ago because quick story, I was in the desert for 9 weeks. I was 17 years old. My mom sent me to a behavioral health therapy program because I was using drugs, self-harming, doing things that were not good for me, right? So I was literally in the desert in Arizona for 9 weeks. Everything I owned and had, I could pack in a pack and carry. And we were hiking through the desert, me and this group of other young girls. And through that experience is where I learned why asking for help is so important. Because if somebody is constantly just like handing stuff out to me and offering things to me, it doesn't give me the space or the ability to allow myself to ask for help. I'm just always going to assume that what I need is going to be there, and then I take it if I want it or leave it. And so then let's say something happens where I need to ask for help. Like now I don't have the courage. I don't have the strength. I don't have I might feel shame or embarrassment or like I got to figure it out on my own. So if that makes sense, like it's really important for me to not enable people in that way. And so social awareness, right? Like just being able to be in touch with myself to the point where I can I read the previous chapter, self-management, which I'm going to go back and look at some more, but I just know this, it takes, I have to be very well self-managed in order to have social awareness, because if I'm not managing myself and my own emotions, how am I going to be able to do that with anyone else? And like we experience, I think I said this last week, we experience the world through ourselves. And so if in this chapter talks about it, having the clear lens, like if I'm having a bad day because whatever, something happened and I'm in a bad mood, I'm having a bad day, like I can't, there's no space for me to be able to be open to receiving somebody else's, whether it's their problems, their accomplishments. Like if somebody else comes to me, I'm just gonna be in a bad mood. I'm gonna be irritable. You know what I'm saying? So like I have to have that self-management in order to have social awareness. And I don't know. My daughter's really throwing me off right now because she's climbing on the coffee table and messing with the lamp, and I just so I was gonna talk about something else really quick too. Relationship management. Um, there's so much to say about relationship management. But the part that I wanted to point out was that the truth is all relationships take work, even the great ones that seem effortless. We've all heard this, but do we really get it? Working on relationships takes time, effort, and know-how. The know-how is emotional intelligence. And just thinking about a current relationship that I have in my life, I am not going to say too much about it, but I really cannot take other people's inventory for them. I can't take responsibility for other people's actions or inactions. And so I can really only talk about myself. And I know that I'm working on myself. I'm reading this book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0. I go to, our team calls. I'm working on my personal development. I'm clean in recovery, trying to work on my spiritual and mental health too, and that's physical too. So like I'm working on myself to be better and grow. We'll just put it like that. Not everybody is doing that. And there's a relationship in my life where I'm starting to realize that this is not working out in the way that I want it to, because we might be at two different places in our lives. You know what I'm saying? And I can continue to do all the work. But if there's another individual that I'm in relationship with that's not doing the work, like I can't make them do the work that I'm doing. I can't make them see what I see. I can't make them experience what I experience. And so like letting go is a big part of relationships sometimes too. Like people say relationships, some are for a reason, some are for a season. And I think that all relationships serve a purpose, and not every relationship is meant to last for a lifetime. And it can be really hard to let go of certain relationships, especially considering the past and history that can be involved in some relationships. And so there's somebody in my life that I'm accepting that I'm having to let this person go, and they've been around for a long time. And it hurts, and it's really painful, and it really sucks. That's just the truth. I wish them well and I pray for them, and I'm more than open to continuing to keep working on our relationship. I told this person that I feel like you don't prioritize our friendship the way I said, I feel like you don't value this relationship, our friendship, the way that I value this friendship. And they really just got defensive and started throwing shots at me and blaming me. And that's how I knew this person and I are just on two different pages right now. And that's okay for them to be where they're at. Like Amber was just saying, I don't need to go tell them how to be. I don't need to tell them, come get on this call and work on yourself with me. Like, I don't need to do that. I could just leave them where they're at. And like being in recovery is teaching me that too, because there's just a lot of old people and places and things in my life that I don't have to be a part of anymore because it doesn't serve me anymore. And it's like I have to grieve my old lifestyle, my old friends, and the old me, because I'm turning into somebody new. And it's scary. And the uncertainty that comes with that can feel like come with feelings of like, is this the right thing for me? Am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? But like I just today I woke up feeling very much in alignment with my purpose and my path. And I'm just grateful for that. And the last thing I'm gonna say is that I think it was back at chapter 7, where it talks about so like building the social awareness get to build your, well, I think it just kind of, it references this in the whole book. So like skill building, to build a skill, it takes practice. That's what I'm trying to get to, is that it takes practice. And like all of these things in this book are skills that can be learned through practice, and it's not going to come overnight, and it's okay to mess up. That's what I'm trying to say. And the only way to be able to build these things is to practice. And so every day is an opportunity. Every moment is an opportunity to practice these things, because, you know, I'm with myself all the time, self-management all the time. I can work on social awareness. I'm in social situations often, you know, with you guys in real life when I go to meetings at work. Like that's an opportunity to practice the social awareness. The relationship management. I have so many relationships I could practice on y'all. I could practice with my daughter. I could practice with my mom. Like, and so just viewing it as like there's always an opportunity to practice and get better, and that with more practice, it's gonna grow. Like in earlier in the book when it talks about the brain and how the brain is a muscle that grows, and the way that we grow our brain is by, you know, doing things that stimulate it, like reading this book. Yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna share. I don't know who else didn't go. I know Sam, Mari, Imani, Amber went. Mikhail, did you go?
No, he didn't go yet, and Cam didn't go. But Ro, man, I just wanted to say, like, you shared some really good stuff today. I'm loving the vibes. I just had to throw that out there, okay? And you just kind of like gave me this, like, you gave me this feeling of clarity, a lot of clarity. You know, like earlier when I said, you know, people want like be wanting me to be their best friends. Like I did not mean that in an arrogant way at all. I actually wanted to clarify that because I really meant it in a way that all the principles that we've gained and used over this past year, especially like the some key books, How to Win Friends, How to Influence Friends and Win Friends, How to Something with Friends and People. And then now this one, those two kind of like when you learn these principles, a lot of people are going to want to be really, yeah, that one. A lot of people are going to want to be really close with you and be friends with you. And you have to use a lot of discernment on who you are allowing to be in your circle versus who are your associates that you're, you know, encountering often. And I just wanted to clarify that because when I say I don't want everybody to be my best friend, it's really personal because it's so important to take these principles and use that discernment and not just allow everybody up into your life because they will come. And yes, who we surround ourselves with matters so much. And these principles really can like make us become a magnet. So I'm just saying, be aware of that. I'm not saying like I know I don't want everybody to be my best friend, but I still care and love a lot of people. I care about people. So I wanted to throw that out. And Ro, thank you for like just giving me that clarity. So I just wanted to throw that out. Cam.
Wait, I wanted to say something real quick to
Okay.
that. Like to you, Ro, as well. Like when it comes to like letting people go and letting anything go because everything is just gonna go eventually. Um, honestly, I meant to say something like on a more positive note. You know, like allow that person to go and like say, you know, with grace and ease and perfect ways, like may that person be released from you, but also know that now you have space and room for someone else to come through and you can completely create who you want to experience. And through these principles, you can create that. You can create the people that you want to experience. And I'll just share this exercise with y'all that I'm excited to talk about, like in the Powerful Creator conversations as well. But the way that you create who you want to experience, like you know, obviously you make it plain. You talk about these are the kind of friends that I want, right? And you put down all those characteristics and you believe in it. But what then you really do is you get clear on what kind of friend you are. So like in 2018, I created this list and I started to write them in like affirmation form and I started to say it out loud. And I was like, when people are friends with me, this is what I started with. When people are friends with me, when people are friends with me, they travel. When people are friends with me, they make more money. When people are friends with me, they're on a higher vibration. When people are friends with me, they learn. And you continue to say that and repeat that and be that And then you wake up one day and that's your reality. All your friends are out here are people that are a reflection of you in one way, shape, or form, because it's all about like, we're all the same and you really got to be what you want. So just be excited for that. Just gonna give you some positivity in that, because that's what my mentor told me. Like, even like with my cat leaving, she was like, well, now you have another space for someone to love. She was like, someone has to come in and fill that space. And I'm like, I'm so grateful for them, whoever they are. Okay, Cam next. Or Mikhail.
I popcorn Mikhail. He does not have to go last.
I really like having my last spot.
Yo, Ro is funny as hell, bro. Like, I don't know if y'all been catching, like, when she looked at her kid, I just about died. She gave that mom look like, bro, you've been having me crack up this whole time, and you did not have, because why I was thinking that, like, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna call Mikhail next time, just cause, so he don't go last. Anyways, you funny as hell. I'm sorry. Bye, y'all.
You guys are both era, as they used to say. I'm saying, as the young kids of today speak. But no, I'm just playing. Nah, at the end of the day, man, all you guys have had amazing, amazing, amazing outlooks. I appreciate everybody's insight. I appreciate everybody's transparency and vulnerability as well about what they're going through. Because this is literally what Big Book Club is about. Like, I know it's been a little bit longer today, but ultimately, we be needing one of these sessions about once every 6-7 weeks. You know what I'm saying? It happens every time. Where in that, whether it's when we're wrapping up a book or whether it's in the middle of a book, whole squad really gets in tune and they just literally have damn near event session on the call. So it's fire. I appreciate y'all for the vibes today. Literally, if you don't trust it, go back and check the recordings. In about every sixth or seventh video, you'll literally catch one of these. They're extra long. You'll know which ones they are. But in that, definitely game time. And I'm excited because y'all have definitely grown like a lot. And it's dope to see. And it was cool to hear you, Imani, also talk about all of the other books as well, because I'm pretty sure that there was a story in How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I was trying to think about what book it was in earlier. Like, I literally thought about it. One of y'all said something that brought my note back up and was like, oh man, I can't wait to actually talk about that little part of the story. And then I could not remember what book it was in for the life of me. And I'm almost positive it was in there. There was a moment where two people, when they talked about like we're talking about social awareness, but he talked about having a guide in the room in the book. I don't remember even which chapter this was exactly. Hold on, let me just look at my notes. I just jumped right into it. My fault, y'all. But I couldn't wait to actually talk about this. So I was like, let me just get this thought out before I forget, because y'all know Mikhail, I'll forget before when we start diving into everybody's perspectives. But nope, those were fire. Can't wait to talk about that. It was catching the mood in the room. Emotions are contagious, meaning they spread from one or two people until there's a palpable and collective mood that you will feel at some level. And it's real life. And the mood today on this call has definitely been all over the place. It's been lit, honestly. I love the dynamic because we can go from like laughing to like everybody's leaning on the edge of their seat and like somebody's having a real vulnerable moment to like we're chilling because somebody's talking about one of our friends or one of our mentors or their work friends. Like, the dynamic of emotion that we go through just on this call, it literally is like a great depiction of what all week looks like. It's pretty lit. But in that, catching the mood of the room, it brought up this part in a book that we read way back in the day where it was a guy and a pastor, if I'm not mistaken, who was very deep in Bible knowledge. And they were sitting at a table. They go to sit down, and the guy who was like running the event was saying something and he misspoke. Like, he said something that was completely wrong. And the new guy was in there and he was like, he's completely wrong. And at first he started to interrupt him and like, he was like, bro, that's actually not true. And then his boy, who he knows everything about the Bible, he looked at him and was like, right? And then his boy was like, no. And he was like, bro, why you just leave me out to dry like that, bro? What is you on? And he's like, do you not realize that we were at his table? And it's just like when you really can catch the mood of the room, sometimes you aren't able to do these things. Sometimes you aren't able to catch the emotional cues on what you should do and how you should respond in certain situations and the whole nine. And in Emotional Intelligence 2.0, specifically on that page, he talked about sometimes when you're going into places, bring a guide. Like one thing, if y'all notice about me, like I used to go a hella places alone, but nowadays I real life don't. I don't even go into like if I'm texting you, 9 times out of 10, if we're having a heated conversation, Marcus is getting screenshots of the conversation live, literally in real time. You know what I'm saying? We're literally talking. I'm screenshotting it to him, asking if my response makes sense or is this too emotional? Because I literally want somebody who's not having the conversation, who's not emotionally charged in the conversation, to have a completely neutral outlook so that I can make sure I don't go up and down. Because even though I've been working on these for a long time, I'm not perfect. I'm cold, but I am not perfect at all whatsoever. And so, in that, you need these temperature checks and for people to check you while you're literally having these conversations and going throughout life. And in that, I just feel like if you don't have that person that you can literally call and be like, yo, or text and be like, yo, I'm literally having this conversation right now. How should I respond? Or like, yo, I literally just had this conversation just now. This is how I responded. What do you actually think about that? If you don't think that you can have a person like that that you can call, understand that me and Marcus literally have what he talked about in the book, an open door policy. We gonna give it to you raw, transparent, and blunt. You know what I'm saying? That, you know, like we've definitely leaned into our communication styles. That's for a fact. But also, like we are those people though. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna sit there and like even though we may get emotionally like for a second like judgmental depending on the situation, we're literally going to do our best to regulate our own emotions and just be like, yo, what do you need right now? You need an ear, or you need some guidance, you need some thought-provoking questions. Like, what do you actually need? And we try our best to actually fill that need. So I just seen Rashidi actually hit the chat. I wanted to add self-awareness is crucial for self-management. Self-management is crucial for social awareness. Social awareness is crucial for relationship management. That's what I got from this book. That is exactly what the book was trying to put down, my sister, from another mister. That is exactly what it was trying to put down, truly. Because ultimately, there is a process and you got to know yourself before you can know others. And this just walks through the process. So, as Imani talked about, she hopes that we keep this in the roto. I personally hope that you keep your notes close. I hope that you keep this in your weekly or monthly roto of just revisiting these principles as you are revisiting life each and every single day as you wake up and you're going through these things. I really hope and pray that everybody really took notes throughout this book, and you actually like continuously apply them. Because as somebody else earlier on the call said, practice makes progress, and you've got to practice these things intentionally over and over and over again. It's a bone, it's a brain, it's, excuse me, not a bone, your brain, it's literally a muscle. So you've got to work this thing. So in that, like this book and all of the principles that it talked about, how at the end of each of these different like strategies, it was literally giving you tips on how to do it. I hope y'all bare minimum, if you were reading this ebook, screenshotted the last paragraph of each of these chapters, or wrote it down, took a picture, whatever the case may be, put it in your notes, write that thing on your wall, whatever the case may be. But ultimately, these strategies will literally help you go and do whatever you're trying to do, whether that's build a business, whether that's just be a person, have good relationships, wake up and love the life that you live every single day. Literally, Amber talked about what she used to tell herself about, hey, like if people are friends with me, y'all know that really corny quote. I post it every year, multiple times a year. If you hang out with me long enough, I'm going to trick you into believing in yourself. Throw a 2 in the chat if you believe in yourself on this call, because y'all all been hanging out with me for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So in that, like you real life get to actually create the experience that you have in this world, but you first got to know how you experience things to be able to curate your experience. And that's what it is, real life. If you take the time to actually get to know yourself, know your triggers, Know why you pull back from certain situations. Know why you make emotional decisions. Know why you're going through life and the type of friends that you are attracted to versus the ones who you aren't. Know why in the process of having arguments or what you're going through and where, like, you've got to know who you are, what you're doing, where you're going, where you've been. And that takes intentional time and focus and work. Most people in today's day and age call it shadow work. Everybody got all these new terms, but it's literally just the work that you do on yourself when nobody is looking. It's the other side of integrity. The reason Marcus literally hops on all these calls and be like, Mikhail's one of the most integritous people that I know, because literally, and I'm not calling myself integritist here, I'm literally saying like, this is what I do. I actually do the work. Like all these principles that is, as it was talking about, I'm like, yo, I real life be doing that. Like I real life be looking for social cues while I'm on this Zoom. I real life be looking for social cues while I'm reading the fictional books. I real life love to watch movies. I real life have to intentionally tell myself, Mikhail, look away from your phone when your daughter walks up and says something to you and just be present and be intentional for a second. Because she's not trying to annoy you. She literally just wants your attention and you're curating her experience. And I literally have to like be conscious about these things. We all do. And in that process, it is it's a lifelong project and it's hard. It's like the hardest test that you've ever taken. And you continuously fail. But that is the only way that you get the right answer, is because life doesn't really have like a person who's going to come in, sit in the back of your head and teach you and tell you, oh, don't do that. Oh, don't call that person. Oh, don't say that right now. Oh, don't have that conversation. You don't have that person. Even when you get a spouse, you don't have that person. It's just the reality. You literally have to do the work on yourself to go and find that person and become that person. And that takes intentionality. And it's dope to have this space that we've been able to curate, because this is a space that you can actually take that time, even if it's an hour a week, to actually think about what you're thinking about, think about what you're feeling, think about where you're going, think about who you're doing it with, think about the processes in which you're doing it, think about the projects in which you're building. You literally get to think about all these things and listen to other people's perspectives. And it's work that you are doing on yourself. And that is happening once every single month. Or excuse me, once every single week. You got to understand, if you're not taking more time, then you are slowing down your own learning curve. But also on the back end, I want to congratulate you, because you are doing way more, 60 minutes per week more than everybody else in the world. There's 52 weeks in a year. So let's do some real quick math and just literally like put a number on it. You know what I'm saying? I love to put numbers on things because men lie, women lie, numbers don't. But let's just say we spend 60 minutes, and it's usually 120 every Saturday. But let's just call it 60 times 52. We got 3,120 minutes that we literally spend each year just intentionally working on ourselves. I'll take off like 100. I'll give it 3,000. We usually take about 2 weeks off, and that's like Christmas and New Year's type of vibe. So in that, y'all, it's like you are literally putting yourself ahead already. So I just wanted to congratulate everybody on that, but also I want you to understand the serious in which that it actually is. Like, yo, if you don't take the time, if you are inconsistent with the time, you are not getting as much growth. If you are not getting as much growth and you're wondering why you're not where you want to be, I think that you should quit being delusional and just actually do the things that you need to do in order to get to where you want to go. And that's for everybody who ends up watching the recording, or whomever y'all want to tell that to, because that's a bar. Because that last part, y'all be on here every single Saturday. So it ain't for y'all. But going into my notes, one, oh, okay, bet, babe. Yeah, we might actually be able to do that. I know my wife is listening, so I just replied to her. She was texting me. But in that, relationship management strategies, I'm going to just real quick read them all off. Be open and be curious. Enhance your natural communication style. Avoid giving mixed signals. That one was huge. Remember the little things that pack a punch. That one is huge too. And I be slacking sometimes in my own life trying to remember that, because sometimes I say things that pack a punch. So in that, take feedback well, build trust, have an open door policy, only get mad on purpose. That was a huge one. Only getting mad on purpose. Don't avoid the inevitable. If Marcus is on this call, I know the reason that he wanted me to read this book was literally for that. Because I ain't gonna lie to y'all, transparent leader moment real quick. When people piss me off, I don't want to talk to them. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the reality. And ultimately, when we have emotionally charged situations, like I'm a human being just like the rest of us, when we all have emotionally charged situations, I personally tend to put off inevitable conversations. And this is something that, shout out my business partner for keeping me in check, especially recently. And he just got very blunt with me one day and just told me this. And at first I was like, bro, you know, like I almost snapped for a second. Then I was like, man, you're right, though. I low key do kind of do that. And honestly, I was in denial until I really read the chapter and was like, yo, I actually do that. It's crazy. Like when he talked about the lady who's like, they're like the coworker is just a person that you never want to work with. And you would have literally pushed the button to send the ass to a different department 5 years ago if you had the button, but the button doesn't exist. And on top of this person being who they are, your manager comes in and is like, yo, I need you to do a project with this person. And this person walks up, happy go lucky, like, yeah, let's grab lunch today and start the project. And you come up with 18 different excuses on why to push her off. And you brush her off on why you can't talk right then and there, knowing damn well you're going to have a conversation. Like, no matter what, it's inevitable. You're going to have a conversation about it. And the longer you put it off, the less fresh it's going to be. Therefore, the less details are going to be remembered. Therefore, the less F's are given in the process. You know what I'm saying? Especially by the time that you're actually trying to have the conversation. And that's from both ends. And when you both don't care, how is it going to be a real life, truly productive conversation with understanding and grace? It's not. And it usually ends up being an argument. And it's exactly what you were afraid of in the very beginning. But had you hit it on the nail, you wouldn't even have went there. And it's wild because in that space, like, yes, you might feel emotionally charged for a second, but if you just take a second and calm yourself down and intentionally get into the conversation, that intention and that pure amount of focus, because it's at such a high level, will guide you way better than the time to forget will. And that was a big thing for me. So definitely that's a lesson that I've learned. That's why recently, as I've had some conversations with some people on squad, I just have literally like, I'll go in and ask some questions and hit some things right on the nail if I believe it needs to be said right then and there. And we'll have like a very transparent conversation, because I've gotten to this point of like, on sometimes it's me trying to be nice, on sometimes it's me avoiding. And I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be nice or avoid shit. I realize that in the Bible, you ain't got to be nice to live this life of being righteous at all whatsoever. You got to be righteous. That's it. So in that, nice wasn't really included in the description. Giving grace was definitely included, period. And I will always give grace, and I'm here for my people, and I'm going to keep it cool, calm, and collected. But life is not nice, and I'm finding that out each and every single day. So if you are leading people, why would you sugarcoat it for them when life's not going to, and you're supposed to be prepping them for it? Doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever. So for me, that was definitely a big one. Don't avoid the inevitable. And then another one that honestly, me and Marcus have done a lot of work on this year is explaining your decisions instead of just making them. That's one thing we've gotten really huge on. And it's because honestly, of the example that he brought in this book, we never really had that example. We just had some uncomfortable conversations where people just told us like how they felt, exactly as he illustrated in the book. He was like, yo, like not explaining your decisions is literally like you go camping, you go out on a camping trip, and you get there in the nighttime, and you setting up your tent and you terrified because you don't even really know where you at. You really just, it's dark and you in the middle of the darkness. So you set up your tent, you go to sleep with one eye open, like literally sleeping light, trying to make sure that you don't hear nobody creeping up on your tent, and you wake up, unzip the tent, and you have the most beautiful view in the entire world. And majority of people, especially in business and especially in a business like this, majority of people get started and they don't get told the explanation. And then eventually they wake up, but they got to go to sleep. And think about how long it took you to go to sleep when you was setting up that tent because you was terrified. You were listening for everything. You had one eye open the entire time. You probably took forever to set up the tent because you kept looking over your shoulder. And ultimately, it took you a long time to, figuratively get started sleeping. You know what I'm saying? And in that, as you go and you wake up the next day, you're like, wow, this is so much more beautiful than I thought. But imagine if you had prepared for the trip, knew the GPS location, and knew exactly what that view looked like before you pulled up. Just imagine if you were like prepared for it and you already knew what you were going to. Just imagine if that business idea that you're doing, those leaders happen to have a conversation with you about the idea that they're about to execute on, like we did with the 18 traders before we executed on that day, like we did with all the leadership before we executed on the economy. Literally, like we've definitely had our fair share of just making decisions and people just like, hey, bro, do it our way or the highway or go that way. And instead of doing that, we're like, let's just talk to our people and figure out how they feel before we make any decisions, because this is a group thing. Like we're all impacted by each and every decision that we make directly. So in that, we've got to catch everybody's outlook on what's going on. And so he just talked about explaining your decisions to your people because they feel like how they went to sleep and didn't know what they were waking up to. Even though the view is beautiful, if you send them a picture and an address, it don't matter if they pull up in the nighttime or the daytime, they're going to be excited. Period. You've just got to explain exactly what you're doing. And that's with everything. That's with children. I'm noticing even with my kids, especially as Micah's growing up a little bit more and he's like able to regulate his emotions just a tiny bit. Like I'm noticing if I just explain to him and take the time to actually get down on his level and tell him exactly what we're doing, he usually doesn't even put up a fight. It's kind of crazy. So for me, it's different. I don't have to explain myself though, ever. So I hear you and I want to have more conversation about this. Bet we can definitely do it. In that there's a degree, you know what I'm saying? And as I was reading this, I definitely caught the degree of explanation because I chopped it up with Marcus about transparency because we had a season where we were extremely transparent with everything that was going on, period. And that's in relationships, that's in our business, the whole nine. And I was like, yo, bro, as we sit down with higher level people, we don't need to be so damn transparent about everything that we're going through on the back end. There is a need to know, and you can be extremely transparent, but not be extremely detailed. There's a difference. You know what I'm saying? And you can explain yourself and explain your thoughts without having to go in and explain your opinions or like why you are based upon this way. You can explain what you're doing with like a, hey, here's the plan. Here's what I plan to do. What do you think about it? You know what I'm saying? In terms of like leadership perspectives, in terms of relationship perspectives. Hey, yo, here, babe, here's how I'm feeling. Here's why I'm feeling like this. Let's actually chop it up and figure out, because ultimately, if you are having a disagreement, I'm sorry to hold up the mirror, but you are being selfish. Sometimes selfish is necessary. It's okay. Remember what we said about judgment. It is. You know what I'm saying? It's not it is what it is. It's not it's good or bad. It's just it is. So sometimes you have those moments of just letting it be what it is. Period. And that's completely fine. But ultimately, like, if you just release the judgment upon how you're feeling and you can just sit there and explain, like, yo, let's get down to the bottom of it because this disagreement really stems from me thinking about what I need and you're not giving it to me. And if I take a second and if I already understand who I am, what I need, I can also take myself out of that and understand that every single action is a reaction. There's a cause and effect to everything. Period. Unless you were here in the very beginning when there was nothing. There is a cause and effect since that moment in time. So in that, you've got to understand and take yourself out of the situation like, yo, what do you need from me in order for you to give me what I need from you? That's how you can squash whole disagreements and whole arguments. What do you need? Instead of telling a person what you need until they get it, how about you ask them what they need in order to make that happen? I dare you to try this, and I dare you to see what happens in the midst of an argument. But here's the thing, when you ask, just like the book talked about, you've got to care about what they say. And then you've got to give them that if you want what you need. Like if you really want it, you're going to get it. When you're hungry, you eat, right? So if I say, yo, I need an apple, and you said, well, in order for me to go get you that apple, I need your keys because that's at the grocery store. We ain't got no apples. If I didn't want to give you my keys, I'm not getting no motherfucking apple. It's as simple as that. Period. Think of our needs as the apple. It doesn't matter if it's emotional. It doesn't matter if it's a materialistic need. It doesn't matter what it is. If you cannot give the other person what they need in order to give you what you need, you're not going to get it. Period. And if you consistently decide not to give the other person what they don't, or excuse me, decide not to give the other person what they're asking for, it intentionally is going to piss you off, and you are going to get more and more angry because now you've chosen emotion instead of logic. And in doing that, you're also going to piss the other person off, and you guys are going to consistently raise your temperature until you meet and have a moment of no return. So in that quick little, you know what I'm saying, diffuser strategy for y'all, stop being selfish in your whole life. Just stop. It literally is not conducive to your growth. If you realize that in order to get what you need, you have to give other people what they need, you will stop focusing on you. And if you stop focusing on you, you can lead people different. You can accept feedback different. You will ask for feedback because you're not wanting to make sure that your experience is great. You want to make sure their experience is great. Period. I loved when you talked about feedback, and then I realized, like, yo, I hit Mari this week, and that was a good tip for me. I definitely felt that, and I hadn't even read this chapter yet. You know what I'm saying? I was like, let's go. But I hit Mari and was like, yo, how's your experience been inside of TGF, and what actually would help with that? And like, what are the things that kind of frustrated you or you had a disconnect with? Like, what actually happened? Like, let's just be real. You know what I'm saying? We've all brought another person into the ecosystem. Have you ever asked your people that? You ask them about the results. Have you ever asked them about the process? Have you ever really taken a second to actually figure out how you could be better instead of just reading the books? Because the way that you get better is by asking the people that you are leading, hey, how can I help you? How can I serve you? But you've literally got to step out of your own way in order to do that. And that only happens if you're ready. So the next level is not for the few that are chosen. It is for the few that actually choose to let themselves go and kill your old self. And it sucks. Marcus talks about this a lot. It's literally the reason why we literally have a mental health coach that specializes in grief working with TGF Network. Because we talked about this when she first started. This was a year ago. When she first started with TGF, we literally spoke about how in the journey of entrepreneurship, you literally have to kill that person who got started. You have to find a whole new person. You have to build a whole new person. You have to recreate yourself. So all the parts that you've gotten to love because they've gotten you through every hard ass season, you literally have to kill those parts and replace them. Think about, like, you know, being a child and having to get a new blanket. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, I don't want to let my blankie go. I'm trying to keep my blankie forever. That's my blankie. But it's like, no, it's worn out and dingy. I need you to get a new blankie. Period. And that's literally who you are. Your old self is outdated. If you refuse to change, you will eventually find yourself beautifully equipped for a world that does not exist and does not want that old you in it anymore. And you will start to feel that, and it will get so internal that it turns into depression. But what is it really? It's literally just you refusing to change. It's literally you refusing to actually utilize these principles to go and change your life and let it be way bigger than just monetary and just business and just this little call that you get on every single Saturday. It's way more than that. It's way deeper than that. It's literally you taking the time to kill that old person to actually become new. That's why I absolutely love this book, because ultimately it showed us all of our flaws. And it literally just wrote down the best type of person that you could be. And then you had to be completely transparent and honest about yourself in the process. And if y'all were here day one when we started reading this book, that is what I asked everybody to do on that book club call. Be completely transparent and real with yourself in this process and understand where you have flaws so that you can get better. Because if you were the person that was equally who you are supposed to be, and the things that you want, they would be here already and you'd be in alignment with them. And so if you have financial troubles you are facing, if you have relationship troubles you are facing, if you have work problems that you are facing, if you have business problems that you are facing, understand that the problem is you, not anybody else. Just like my mentor told me when I first heard him, he said, here's what all in looks like. I'm going to send this audio into the TGF chat today on SoundCloud. He said, here's what all in looks like. There are people in that business opportunity that are making $1 million a year. You were in that business opportunity. Why you ain't making $1 million a year? It's not the opportunity. It's you. It's you literally deciding to go all in on yourself. There are people that are going through what you're doing, what you're going through right now, and they're slaying it. And then there's you struggling in the process. Us struggling in the process. Hard mirror to look at. But here's the biggest thing, y'all. We got to get better. And it's on us. Period. I'm going through my own set of struggles and problems and craziness right now. And I've had to take the biggest look in the mirror recently and be like, yo, Mikhail, as much as you be feeling like you got it together, bro, you ain't got it together, bro. And we need to get it together. It takes intentional time, and it takes intentional focus, and it takes intentional work. And you've got to actually do it. Stop getting distracted. Stop having fun. Stop planning extra things and just do the damn work. Period. That is it. That is all. We got emotional work. We got life work. We got family work. When Imani talked about how men just literally, we get so focused on where we're going and what we're doing that it becomes dysfunctional. I literally had to take time out of my life, and sometimes God will put his thumb on you and say, be still. And in that, you literally have to have the moments. I watched a video today just literally talking about the 5 days that men need. You need a mental health day. Even God took a Sabbath day, bro. Period. Men and women. You need a mental health day where you literally don't think about anything. You just rest. You just chill. Do something that recharges you, vibe out, something that you literally don't have to think about. For me, that is Sunday mornings. I split these tasks up throughout all of my days so that I can stay consistent instead of just taking one day. But in that, that's my way. You don't have to be like Mikhail. You know what I'm saying? You can definitely just take your full day as well. But I just evenly spread these things out throughout my life so that I can consistently and efficiently get all the things that are needed to be done, because ultimately I wear a lot of hats, period. I run a marketing agency and business. We have clientele that we take care of. We got this entire business. We got a whole team that we support as well. We got the actual platform and we've built it as well. Whole ass husband. I'm a whole ass father. We do graphic and web design on the side for other clientele. And I do that. I literally sit there and build the websites. So in that, there's so many hats that there's not a lot of time, and you've got to be extremely intentional as you get more busy to make more time for you. Because if you don't continuously do more personal work, then you will not get to where you want to go and actually feel fulfilled while you're in the process. Period. You can get busier, but that just means you have bigger goals. And if you have bigger goals, that means you're damn sure not the person who could hit them. So in that, you need to take out more time to actually work on yourself. And that is the hardest thing to do in the process of success. Period. Especially as a man. I know I'm speaking from my own perspective. It's the hardest thing to do because you want to get to where you're going. You want to do the work so bad, but at the same time, you realize where you're at, and you also don't want to sacrifice the why you're doing it to do it. I literally have it written down in my journey book. It's literally like there's a conflict that happens between what you are doing it for and what you are doing it for. It's crazy. But like I literally build my business so I can have more time with my family. And then I end up seeing myself literally building business instead of spending time with my family. And in the process, you're like, why are you really doing this? And have you really taken out the time to know yourself, understand your goals, and then from there, create a conducive schedule to do all of the above? Because there is no balance. You've just got to create a conducive schedule and understand when you're taking sacrifices, why you're taking sacrifices. Period. You've got to know your role. You've got to know who you are. You've got to know where you're going. You've got to know what you want to do and how you want to actually get there. And that takes time, focus, and you might not have it all figured out, but you've got to like do the work to figure it out. You can't just keep doing what you're doing, expecting to have a change. You've got to actually go and work on yourself. So I just really, again, y'all, I just want to say, I applaud you guys for making it through this book, because I know this book is not an easy book to make it through at all whatsoever. But in that, you guys have tackled this full on and actually finished this thing as well. So in that, congratulations, because that is huge. It is not a light task at all whatsoever to read a book like this. I've read a lot of books in my time, and this is definitely one of them ones where I had to like, yo, Mikhail, don't let yourself get emotionally distracted, because I will, you know what I'm saying? And what I mean by emotionally distracted, as in like, yo, I'm not trying to deal with these emotions, so let me go elsewhere and do something else. Like instead, we all chose to actually sit here on these calls, listen to each other, actually read the book and take out the time. That right there deserves a pat on the back. That right there deserves a freaking applause, real life, because it's not easy to actually work on your mental health. So one, congratulations. Two, as you guys are going through things, y'all all know, if you ain't got my new number, like hit me in the app and just ask for it and I'll give it to you. You know what I'm saying? But I know I've been kind of slow in getting that thing to everybody, but I just re-downloaded all my contacts and everything. So I'll be hitting everybody soon. I've been slow on getting this whole phone together, trying to move off two phones and take one from being like an actual phone to just a content phone. So in that, it's game time. Next week, we are starting, why am I forgetting? 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Whoa. Like, y'all, whoa, it's definitely going to be one of them ones. I highly, highly, highly recommend you take as much intention and focus as you did with this one, with that one, because that one's going to unlock new levels. We're going to start with the law of the lid, if I'm not mistaken. And so with that, these laws, literally, I govern my life by them. I still revisit them to this day. I wasn't super excited about rereading the book itself, and it's probably just because I revisit the principles. But at the end of the day, you know, sometimes you got to pay attention to exactly what the devil is attacking, because that might be where the gold is. So in that, I'm excited to dig in. I'm excited for y'all to dig in. Let's definitely go hit the next level. My baby's just crying. I got to help my wife. Let's disperse and multiply. And let's actually, you know what? I'm so sorry. Used to going last.
Yeah, see?
Cam, you can bring us home, my boy. You can bring us home. My fault. What up, though? I know Cam's had a great week. We got to have a great conversation the other day in my driveway as well. So in that, it's about to go down. I'm excited.
Yeah, it was his birthday too. Happy birthday, Cam.
Thank y'all.
And I'm tuning in on the AirPod. I'm gonna just go help these kids not cry. But I'm gonna turn my camera on too so you can see okay.
Yeah. This book is buck wild, honestly. it challenged me in like every conceivable way because I've never, not once in my lifetime, taken a look at my emotional intelligence. I've always kind of like just focused on the IQ versus the EQ. And looking back over the past couple years of my life and then reading this book in the couple weeks that we did, it makes sense why I'm exactly where I'm at. And I can't lie, that's just full transparency. Like, I'm an emotional man. I am a very emotional man. And it hurts, but like at the same time, hold on one second. Hi. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Have a good day. You too. I'm a very emotional man. And the minute my emotions get tested to a point where I know I can't and shouldn't handle it are the moments where I shut down. And Steele can vouch. There would be like it used to be so bad that I would go completely ghost from everybody for at like the shortest time frame would be a month. The longest time frame to date was like 2 years, where I was completely shut out from everybody, did not talk to anyone because I was so deeply vested in my own emotions. And this, looking back on like just this year of like working with TGF, working and reading this book, and honestly rereading Rich Dad Poor Dad, it really opened me up to even having the capabilities of talking about my emotional intelligence. And it's I'll just put it this way. It's a challenge that I think that I'm like finally at a point where I'm at like my 10% mark. So like I feel like I've grown 10% in this case. So for me, I'm not gonna lie, I gotta reread this book. I have to. This one might be one of them situations where like every 90 days I reread this because I still have a lot to check myself. Because I went through all of the things that like chapter 7 had about like chapter 7 and chapter 8 had about like some of the steps you can take. And I seen in those steps everyone that I like everyone that I screwed up on over just the past year. And if anyone of y'all knows me, y'all know I'm like the hardest person. Like the person I'm hardest on is myself. So when I get in these moments where I'm like, I get fearful of being a leader. I get fearful of being a better person a lot of times. And a lot of the times I'll be just like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm not like maybe I'm not in the right timing. Maybe it's not that time for me. And this book exposed that one, it's been the right time a year ago. Two, there's no better time to like continue the shadow work than today. And as real as it is, I actually have an actionable game plan that I can utilize to work on my intelligence. So shout out this book. Um, that I mean, y'all really hit the nail on everything else, honestly. But what I really got from this is a lot of the things that I need to work on, and it's for me. It seems like it's a lot, but because like it's a lot because it is a lot. It's a lot because it's supposed to be a lot. God's not gonna give you more than you can handle. And right now, this is what I have to learn how to handle. So shout out this book. I'm definitely rereading. So if we want to do a round 2 of this book club like sooner than later, I would appreciate it.
You're muted, Mikhail.
No, this AirPod just doesn't work. That's my AirPod case. I left one AirPod at the studio. Then I lost my AirPod case for the working AirPod. And so I gave Marcus my other pair of working AirPods and let him leave his little broken ones here. And so I was just using the broken ones. So my apologies. But in that, listen, great outlook, Cam. We love you, boy. You know what I'm saying? You and I had a conversation yesterday. Yes, Brooklyn? A bowl. You got a bowl in there. Chicken cabinet. Yes. Look at get the white one. Okay, here it come. So yeah, I love y'all. Happy Saturday. It's definitely game time. Let's disperse and let's multiply. My wife in here talking mess. But
Our books for next week.
grab your book.
I
If
see
you
it. Yeah, what's the book? Tell us.
21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, John Maxwell. It is inside of, I want to say it's inside of the leadership folder inside of the digital library. If it's not in the leadership folder, look in the other folders. I know for a fact it's in there. Off the top of my brain, I do not remember which folder. I'm just, leadership, 21 laws, leadership. So in that, slide in there, grab that thing. If you do not go to the digital library and you want the physical book, I'm almost positive you can find this book at just about any bookstore. John Maxwell is one of the biggest authors on the planet. So in that, you'll be able to find this thing. Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, it's all over the place. But
Half
okay,
price
squad.
books for like $5.
Squad. I was like, is that?
It's an ice pack.
It's an ice pack. Okay, where'd you put my soup?
I never made myself.
Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, I love y'all. Let's get it in. I'll talk to y'all soon. 21 Irrefutable Laws. What chapters are we reading? Let's just call it 1 and 2. Because I don't know off top. I'm not Marcus. Marcus usually comes prepared with this part, and I did not come prepared with this part because he does that. So if you do need to know what chapters we are reading, go ahead and slide to the next book club event, and it's in the description. Both chapters are right there. So in that, you can see that on the TGF Network website. You can see that in the app as well, right on the book club tab, or just click on that next event. You'll see it right there. You'll click on it. It'll be right there in the description, what chapters, as well as the Zoom info is always right there too. But I'll see y'all next Saturday, 10:30. We live. Hey, I did a test today, and I seen how many people hopped on before I sent out the push notification. And me and Sam was chilling. So hop y'all ass on here next Saturday, 10:30 a.m. So,
I had an appointment.
I was on there. I was on there, damn it.
I know, I'm just kidding. I love y'all. Happy Saturday, man. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Love y'all. Make today great.